Hi, welcome to my complete guide on Castorice. Castorice is the newest 5-star coming in the first phase of version 3.2. She looks to be a very visually stunning character in both gameplay and design, while also having the damage to go alongside with it. In this video, I'll be going through everything you need to know on how to build and play Castorice, covering her best icons, relic sets, Planar ornaments, teams, and many more. Before we start, I'll be giving away 2 supply passes / welcome room to my subscribers at 7k subs, so make sure you subscribe. To begin, how does a kit actually work? Castorice is a quantum unit following the Path of Remembrance. Since she follows the Path of Remembrance, we'll first take a look at her memo sprite, Netherwing Pollux. Netherwing has HP equal to the max new bud stack, which should be 3200 HP in most cases, and a base speed of 165. For its skills, unlike Aglaia, the memo sprite will not attack on its own and requires player input. It has 2 attacks, one dealing damage in AoE, and another also damaging in AoE, but instead costing its own HP and can be used multiple times. Each attack will cost 25% of its HP and increase damage multiplier per instance of the attack. When HP is lower than 25%, using this attack will set HP to 1 and deal additional damage. This additional damage consumes all HP and deals 6 instances of damage to a random enemy while also healing your team. For its talents, the first Netherwing takes damage instead of your teammates if the HP is about to drop lower than 1. The second increases damage dealt for all allies when summoned, and the third, when it disappears, it also does the same additional damage attack mentioned before. As for Castorice herself, her skill consumes all allies' HP and deals damage in Blast. If Netherwing is on the field, this is enhanced to consume even more HP and deal more damage, now also in AoE. Her ultimate summons Netherwing, creates a zone which decreases all enemies or type resistance. Additionally, Netherwing and the zone is set to disappear after 3 of Netherwing's action, and this ultimate does not use energy. Her talent has a stack called New Bud and has a max stack of 5 times the highest level of your team to the power of 2, which will be 3200 in most cases, as level 80 is recommended for all units. Also, for each point of HP lost by an ally, gain a point of New Bud, and at max stacks, her ultimate can be used. In addition, when allies lose HP, damage dealt is increased, and when Netherwing is on the field, New Bud cannot be gained, and any ally HP loss will also heal Netherwing. Her technique basically just summons Netherwing at half HP, which consumes teammates' HP and takes immediate action, while also gaining 30% New Bud for Castorice. As for bonus stress abilities, the first converts healing to everyone except Netherwing into New Bud, and if Netherwing is on the field, convert those healing into Netherwing HP, both with a limit. The second increases Castorice speed when half HP or healthier, and the third increases damage of Netherwing the more times it attacks. Additionally, Castorice has an exclusive global passive ability, which basically makes it so if your account has Castorice, during battle, whether she's in the battle or not, whenever any amounts of allies are about to die to one attack, delay it, and if they are healed or shielded, they do not die. Yes, you heard it right. Account power creep now exists. Jokes aside though, this mechanic has been getting some pretty heavy backlashes from the community. I personally just think it's pretty cool, but I can totally understand why people think it is very unhealthy for the game. And since it literally affects all battles, even contents like MOC, Purification, and Apocalyptic Shadow, duel cycles are about to get a whole lot easier and a whole lot crazier. Anyways, overall, Castorice has a rather complex kit, but that is just the nature of Remembrance characters, as Aglaia wasn't that much less complicated. Regardless though, thanks to the complex kit, we are given some of the coolest animations in the game, and in turn, some of the best gameplay ever. You get to choose how much you want to attack, and the attack is a dragon doing Hyper Beam. How cool is that? Speaking on the kit itself though, in actual combat, her kit is actually not that hard to pilot, with the only part to watch out for is the 3-turn limit on Netherwing. Majority of the time, you want to max this limit out, so don't go wasting all your load on a single attack, then having a massive downtime for Netherwing. So the general gameplay loop ends up being using everything you have to get new bud stack that gets Netherwing up, making sure you spend 3 turns off Netherwing, and then repeating the process. As for traits leveling priorities, you want to be mainly focusing on Netherwing skill, then Castorice skill. The rest are all pretty equal, but going for Memo talent, then ultimate, then talent can be good, with basic attack being okay to be ignored. Now moving to how to actually build Castorice, starting with her best Lycorns. Obviously, the best in slot will be a signature Lycorn. This Lycorn increases max HP and grants defense ignore when losing HP, while also advancing action after Memo Sprite disappears. As you can tell, this is a very specifically made Lycorn for Castorice. The HP increase and defense ignore will help her damage a lot, but the action advance will sometimes be even stronger, as it could mean some higher Netherwing uptime. Other than that, the Battle Pass Remembrance Lycorn will be a second best option, having some nice crit rate and damage dealt buffs. And the Herta Store Remembrance Lycorn is okay too, if only if it's less than S2, as any higher will make Castorice too fast for 4-piece Poet, which is her best relic set. Otherwise, you can technically get by using Badu's Lycorn, yes, the Abundance one, thanks to the high base HP, but that is kind of a last ditch effort. Next up is Castorice's best relic sets and Planar Ornaments. To begin, her best in slot relic set will be the 4-piece Poet as mentioned before. The 2-piece has quantum damage, but the 4-piece has some insane crit rate buffs to both herself and Netherwing at the cost of some speed, being the only other set as of this video directly buffing Memo Sprite damage, and having speed built into her kit, allowing her to have reasonable speed, while also getting the 4-piece buff, since it only cares about the speed outside of battle. This makes this set have a really good synergy, ultimately making this her best set. For alternatives, we're not looking at much, as buffing the wearer does not buff Netherwing, which is a good chunk of Castorice damage. So going for 4-piece Genius is fine, but using any placeholders and farming for Poet is your best option. As for Planar Ornaments, the 2-piece Bone Collection will be your best in slot. Pretty obvious, as this increases HP and increases crit damage of the wearer and their Memo Sprite. Otherwise, similarly to her Relic set, no other Planar sets as of this video boost Memo Sprite damage directly, so while 2-piece Banana Amusement may work, it is still just best to keep farming for Bone Collection. Now onto Castorice's best main stats and substats. For stack breakpoints, there isn't anything in her kit along the line of for every something increase something else, and in fact, she actually has a stat hard cap, being if you're running 4-piece Poet, which you should, you want to make sure outside of combat you have less than 95 speed to fully activate the 4-piece Poet set. So that means you want to avoid having more than 3 speed stat rolls. Anyways, back to her substats. Since she wants to be slow, just go for HP, crit rate, and crit damage as per usual. Remember, you do get an abundance of crit rate from the 4-piece Poet set, so making sure you don't go over 100% crit rate in the battle is a must. So for her main stats, it will be crit body, HP boots, HP balls, and HP rope. Body is crit and mostly crit damage, as it is very easy to accidentally go over 100% crit rate thanks to 4-piece Poet. Boots is HP, as 4-piece Poet requires a slow wearer. Balls is HP 2, as you gain a significant amount of damage percentage within her kit alone, so going for more will have diminishing returns. But if you have an insane piece of a quantum ball, it is fine to use as well. And rope is HP 2, as energy recharge literally does not work on her. Now with all of that out of the way, let's get to Castorice's best Eidolons. E1 is a very nice buff to her skill and enhanced skill damage. E2 basically allows you to use 2 more ticks of Netherwing's attack, while also making Castorice take immediate action. In addition, it also makes her enhanced skill after using Netherwing's skill gain new bud points. If you cannot tell, this is one absolutely broken Eidolon. Not only does it allow your Netherwing to attack 2 more instances, it also advances Castorice's action while also making her attack gain new bud, which you normally cannot gain when Netherwing was on the field before. Not only does this Eidolon increase DPS, it also increases Netherwing uptime, making this an absolutely insane Eidolon. E3 and 5 are just raised levels for both Castorice and Netherwing. E4 increases the whole team's healing received, and E6 makes both their attacks have increased quantum res pen and makes Netherwing's additional damage do more damage. Overall, Castorice has some really insane Eidolons. Everything other than E2 seems pretty tame, kinda surprised why they didn't spread out E2 to other Eidolons, instead of having this one insanely overloaded Eidolon. But regardless, as I mentioned before, E2 is really just that broken. But I do want to mention that at EZO, she is still certainly a top DPS, so do not feel pressured to pull for E2. Speaking of pulls though, E1 versus S1. In a vacuum, S1 is simply better, as more damage on skill from E1 is worth a lot less than defense shred and action advance on S1. But looking outside of the vacuum door, E1 is on the way to the absolutely broken E2, so I guess if your ultimate goal is E2, E1 will be better. And last but not least, Castorice's best teammates and teams. For best teammates, first of all I want to mention Tribi. Tribi is a buffer made for HP scaling and AoE DPSs, and guess what Castorice is? A HP scaling AoE DPS. So as you can probably tell, Tribi will be an extremely good support for casters and actually becoming her absolute best one if you have Tribi at E1. RMC is next, and while the obvious synergy is Castorice's multi-instance attacks fitting with RMC's kit, what's more important is actually the fact that RMC has a memo sprite as well. The way new bot works is that it can gain a maximum of 12% for each unit healed on the field. Memo sprite counts as a unit, so normally you'll be getting a max of 48% charge with 4 units. With a 5th unit memo sprite on the field, you can get a maximum up to 60%, making Castorice get an even faster ultimate and a higher Netherwing uptime. In addition to RMC's high personal damage and action advance, these two have a very strong synergy together. Moving on, healers, especially Gallagher and Lotra, are her best ones. The ways that healers work for Castorice, your max new bud stack should be 3200. The upper limit per gang is 3840, which is 12% of this, stated from this major trace. So you want a healer that is able to output 3840 healing and ideally to every unit every time they heal. But that is not realistic, so we have to focus on getting those single target skill heals to 3840. And that is where Gallagher and Lotra comes in. These two are the most consistent and the easiest to reach 3840 on their skill heal. Not to mention, Gallagher's ultimate and enhanced basic heal will be really good for the charge generally too, while Lotra just has really freaking high heals due to his zone, which will help normally as well. And lastly, a quick mention for Sunday, as the reality for him is that Netherwing is not always gonna be up whenever he skills Castorice. This makes some turns of Sunday lose value, not to mention Castorice also does not use energy, and Sunday's ultimate buff uptime is not synced up perfectly either. So while Sunday is still most definitely a great buffer for Castorice, the synergy is not quite as good as the other buffers mentioned prior. So with all of that out of the way, what are Castorice's best teams? Well, it starts off with Hyper Carry Castorice, featuring 2 supports and 1 healer. In reality, going for any 2 supports between Tribi, RMC, Sunday, Rome, and Pollux would do you just fine. Each has their own strong points, like Tribi having good specific buffs, RMC having an extra unit, Sunday having action advance, Rome allowing for 134 speed even with 4-piece poet set, and Pollux giving even more defense shred. Of course, these are not the only strong points, but for a more definitive answer, Tribi and RMC are your best pairing / options. Then you can look for Sunday, then Pollux and Rome. As for the sustain of the team, a healer, so an abundance unit is a must. And the best ones are Lotra and Gallagher as talked about before. But Linkshot will be a great option too if she is focused on a more healing build. other than Hypercarry Castorice. Due to the team-wide buffs Castorice kit provides, dual DPS comps are very viable. Notably My Day and Blade, as they both scale off HP 2, so Tribute will have great value in this team, but also whenever they take damage, they also have bonus synergy too, making this dual DPS comp a very strong comp and actually quite competitive to Hypercarry, especially if you have a well invested My Day. So yeah, that does it for the Castorice guide. Super excited to get to play her. Her gameplay seems like an absolute blast, no pun intended. And the more of these attacks that bend the rules of a turn-based game, the happier I get. Her global passive Revive does just seem a bit unhealthy, but regardless, since it's here, might as well use it to our advantage. 0 cycles / no sustains will be a lot more fun, so I guess it's not all bad.